Such a beautiful. I did. I think I did. I think so. It says reporting. What a beautiful crowd! What a wonderful island to begin wonderful days of Chanukah. Such a beautiful tzibur, such a wonderful Pirsum Enisa, such a great island. One of the Ramazim that are brought down from the Chachmei Kabbalah, the great masters of Hasidus, is a strange observation. So the bracha we say, and those who are Svardim say it this Nusach, and all those who abide by Nusach Anri and many of the Hasidim, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu mitzvayso v'tzivanu lahadlik ner Chanukah, not ner shel Chanukah. That's a discussion in itself. But that's the Nusach. And they point out that the word v'tzivanu lahadlik ner Chanukah, the first letters in those words spell out chaloin. And chaloin can simply mean a window you light it by, which was not the original takana. We light it outside. So it's strange. What is the remez and what's the significance? And in this past week's parasha, we have a story about a chaloin, Yosef HaTzadik. We're told at the moment of his greatest nisayon, an image of his father appeared to him in a chaloin. What does that mean? Did he have an extra advantage? Did Hashem give him a special video performance to arouse him to hold back from sinning? And in fact, the Medrash says the chaloin not only was an image of his father, it was an image of his mother. And another Medrash says it wasn't in the image of either. It was HaKadosh Baruch Hu who was near it, who appeared to him in the image of his father and his mother. But what does it mean, a chaloin? What is an image? We need a chaloin. Why do you have to say chaloin? Shlomo HaMelech says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is meitis min ha'charakim u'mashgiach min ha'chaloinos. There's two depictions of HaKadosh Baruch Hu looking through a lattice work, through the Ezras Noshim, looking through peering through the side. You can't really see him. But then there's times, Hashem, you look up and you see God right there in a window, standing by the window. That's the difference between meitis min ha'charakim u'mashgiach min ha'chaloinos. Yosef HaTzadik didn't see his father, he didn't see his mother. But his father and his mother, who taught him, his father taught him that we live a life with the presence of Hashem in every moment. And his mother taught him that we reduce any sense of self before the Borei Olam. If someone has that sense of consciousness and raised by parents who inculcate within him that sense of the ever-present Hashkochas Hashem, and no matter what circumstance in life, you see Hashem in that window. And his mother who taught him that it's not about you, it's about Hashem, and we have to reduce ourselves in order to be able to see that image of Hashem in the window. That's what he saw. The Medrash actually says that he was about to engage in the sin and he saw this image. And the Eishes Paitiva says, what image are you looking at? He says, don't you see it? And he says, no, I can't see it. And he remembered the image of Avram Avinu by the Akedah, who saw the Makkah Merachik. And he realized that what he was seeing was not anything, or image, but it was what was inculcated within him. That only a Yid who reduces his sense of his own selfish needs before HaKadosh Baruch Hu can sense HaKadosh Baruch Hu in every moment of his life. And that's why she couldn't see it. Someone who lives in a self-indulgent, self-interested society can't see beyond themselves. But Yosef HaTzadik was trained, and he saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chvayda b'yatzmai in a window. I was at a bar mitzvah yesterday. One of our members, Joel and Karen Merkin, the son, Gabriel Mordechai, had a bar mitzvah. It was a small Yom. And Joel grew up in America, but his parents came from Russia. His father is a scientist, a PhD. I'm not sure what he has a PhD in, and but a very educated person. His mother as well. And his father got up and said a speech, and I want to share with you. I asked him permission. He sent me the speech. I want to share with you just a little bit. and maybe we'll understand what it means to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Chaloim, and how and what frame of mind we should approach the Ner Chanukah when we're standing there tonight. So in the beginning, I'm not going to go the whole speech, but he says, today's a great day. He talks to his grandson. Many hundreds of generations ago, our ancestors were asked to join the covenant with Hashem and become his partners in unfolding of his plan for creation. We only needed to acclaim his creation, live according to the halacha, study Torah, and be the light to the nations by doing mitzvahs. Every generation of Jews has an obligation to keep the covenant voluntarily and full-heartedly learn the Torah and pass it on to the children. And then he says, this day has an additional meaning to me, that's Zayda and Bubby. Many years ago, we had to make a hard and dangerous decision to leave behind our family, forfeit our careers and middle-class way of living in the despotic socialist society that forbade and prosecuted a non-communist way of thought. Many members of our family were imprisoned, exiled, and even executed by the communists for simply being Jews. The rest of the family lived in fear and tried to hide their Jewish identity stated in the internal passports. Bubby and I rejected the prospects of future life in the deeply anti-Semitic Russian society. Eventually, the rest of the family followed us, but the scars of that struggle didn't fully heal. To daven as a Jew, you must first escape the slavery of body or soul. Slaves don't have the freedom of thought. You have to stand up and declare, I want out, let me go. In Russia, they used to say, people who want to emigrate from Russia, please come with your luggage to the Siberian railroad station. And he says, and he quotes, Rav Soloveitchik says, the Jew is a person whose grandchildren are Jews. And he goes on to thank his children, his Bechatonim, Karen, Joe, and Rachel for bringing their children to Judaism. And he goes on to thank his son, his grandson, and wish him well and say that I'm there behind you. Imagine, where did that come from? Where did he get that? Where did it come from? Think about all those like him, had obviously a grandparent at least, if not a parent, or a great-grandparent, who once stood by the menorah, ready to light it, and became the chaloim for future generations to sense the presence of Hashem in their lives. And even we see when the window and those parents are no longer here, but the window remains open. Something remained into the soul of this remarkable grandfather and grandmother to have a sense, to sense the Shekhinah in their life and the need to pursue leaving and establishing a family which they were able to establish. That is the chaloim that we all represent. We sometimes go to the menorah and we just light it. And we sing Ma'asor and then we hit the latkes. You got to realize there were generations before us. Why are we here? Why are we zeichet to be here? Why are the Merkin family zeichet to be here? Even though there were gaps in the window, it was sort of dirtied and was not as visible, but yet because of the attitude and the way we live our lives and the selflessness in our devotion to Hashem and living with the reality that whatever circumstance comes in our life, that's where Hashem is. Then our children will see lahadlik v'tzivanu, lahadlik ner Chanukah. They will see us. Think of this imagery when you light the menorah. Imagine those grandparents. Did they dream that there would be a gap of generations before that grandchildren or great-grandchildren or great-grandchildren return? But they left that window open wide. They left an imprint because of the way they lived their lives with a sense of Hashem and a sense of commitment to remove our own personal needs to fulfill the Ratzon Hashem. And I came across another story of another Russian woman. Her name is Gitta Steinberg. She made it to Eretz Yisrael eventually, and it's a long story how she started without any knowledge of Yiddishkeit. Slowly, she found out about the Torah and about a people, and then it evolved, and she learned finally. She read in a book about Chanukah. She commissioned one of her friends to make a menorah, who worked in a ironworks to make a menorah, and she lived in the edge of a city that was a construction workers mostly, who worked for the state. She lived on the top floor of a high-rise building, shared a floor with 8 other couples, and she had a room for herself. And she decided to invite her friends, that she would celebrate the first night of Hanukkah by inviting these friends, teaching fellow Jews who were lost, who had no smidgen of knowledge of what Hanukkah represents, and they invite them to come. She invites them, she prepares, but then it was a terrible storm. A storm, she said it was 30 below, and there was storming and snow and wind. Nobody showed up. And she says to herself, she decided that, I'm going to lie to myself. There's nobody who's going to see it. She's on the top floor. She lit it. No one can see it. No one was in the street. And she lights it, and there was no living creature visible. And she says, I asked myself, what am I doing? Who am I publicizing this miracle to? What am I doing here? I don't know if I'll ever leave this place. I am here already 10 years trying to get out, and they don't let me. I live in a very difficult circumstance, without a family, without children, without the ability to learn, to know, to fulfill, to live a normal life. How long? What will be with me? Who will give me a response? She says, I didn't know how to daven, but I knew how to cry. She said she cried the whole night. I didn't know that this small candle, that even though nobody but me could see it from the window in this dark night, didn't go for naught. There was someone looking at this candle from above. The one who created me as a Jew. He was there and wanted me to light it, that I should gird myself, be Moshe Nefesh, to risk my life. And from that point on, she eventually made it to Eretz Yisrael, became a very, very popular educator, and helped educate other Russian souls. We are that chaloim. Don't diminish the import of standing in front of your children, your grandchildren, your family, or even if it's yourself, even if you're alone. Hashem is looking down. We are creating the windows that will give the sense to Achenu b'nei Yisrael b'chol makom shehem, to make that difference, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence will penetrate into every aspect of our life. And we will be able to overcome our challenges, not the challenges of oppression, but the challenges of temptation, the challenges of all the challenges that each one of us face, whatever it may be. May we light this first night on Chanukah. Think about the window that we represent, that we are the reflection of the Shekhinah HaKadosh itself. We represent for future generations, may add generations, hopefully soon, be able to see the light of the Irish Mashiach, Emir Hashem, and the schus of how we approach the Yontav of Chanukah. May we be zeicha, and the schus of what we're doing, that Chesed Zerei Kachcha, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu should bring the Keitz HaYeshua, Emir Hashem. Okay.